Hey everybody, this is Peter B. Today I want to tell the story of according to the baseball cards, a common baseball player, an average baseball player, and that is Johnny Lipon. So I'd like to tell you his story and talk about his very confusing card. So, Johnny Lipon started his major league career August 16th, 1942, playing shortstop for the Detroit Tigers. And there he is right there. That is actually a Bowman 1952 card. Nice shortstop pose position and a nice Detroit Tigers hat on his head. That day he went 3 for 4 at the plate with 1 RBI. In the field, he handled all 6 chances, with 2 of them being very sensational. He was only 19 years old. He was off to a good start. He played in 34 games for the rest of 1942, but then went into military service like many baseball players did from 1943 to 1945. In 1945, he was in the Marianas group of islands, serving as a flight engineer on a transport plane. He was in the Navy. After discharge in 1946, he went back to the Tigers and appeared in 14 games, but then was sent down to the minors, where he stayed in the minors all of 1947. Back up with Detroit for the 1948 season. He played with them partially through and into 1952. So 1948 through and into the 1952 season. He was in 1952, midway through the season, he was traded to the Boston Red Sox in a 9-player deal. So in 1952, he played 39 games with the Tigers and 79 with the Red Sox. So there's his 1952 card, made before he was traded to the Red Sox. And then here is 1953 tops, because he played for the Red Sox in 1952. In 1953, the year that card came out, he played in 60 games for the Red Sox. But on September 4th, his contract was sold to the St. Louis Browns, and he ended the season with St. Louis getting into 7 games. There is no card of him on the St. Louis Browns because they already did the 1953 card of him on the Red Sox. So that brings us to 1954, when Topps issued this card. In 1954, the St. Louis Browns, which he was on in 1953, became the Baltimore Orioles. In 1954, the Browns moved to Baltimore, and Johnny Lipon was on the roster. So Johnny is now a Baltimore Oriole in 1954, when this card in the middle came out. On February 5th of 1954, before he ever played a game with the Orioles, he was traded to the Chicago White Sox. Still in 1954, now spring training with the Chicago White Sox. Just before the season started, he was traded to the Cincinnati Redlegs. He got into one game with the Redlegs and then was sent down to the minor leaguers. Never before never did get back up to the majors. So, Johnny Lipon, he was good enough to get a baseball card. He was good enough to play 9 years in the bigs. And he got a total of 162 games in those 9 years. He accumulated a 259 average, 690 hits, and 10 home runs. So, like I said, definitely a common card, definitely an average player. Did manage to play for 9 years. So he's pretty good for that. So why am I doing a video about Johnny Lipon? Well, it's actually about the 1954 Johnny Lipon card. Now, the start of, notice he's in a Boston Red Sox hat, the big portrait. He was in 1953 season with the Red Sox, so probably someone started the artwork or they used artwork they had to put it on this 1954 card. But he was actually on the Browns at the very end of 1953. But in 1954, the Browns became the Orioles. Well, that's why you see a nice Boston Red Sox hat and a Baltimore Orioles logo up top. Now, I assume the artist had no idea what the brand new Baltimore Orioles baseball cap would look like. So they just kind of copied this and painted that on his cap. So his card comes out in 1954. Beautiful card. Nice blue background with the Boston Red Sox hat, Baltimore Orioles logo, and a little image of him swinging the bat with a Baltimore Orioles prototype hat. Well, Johnny didn't even play any games for the Baltimore Orioles. Because remember, he was traded to the White Sox on February 5th. So he also did not play third base. He was a shortstop. So the card is wrong in showing him as a Red Sox. The card technically is wrong as showing him as an Oriole because he never actually played it as an Oriole. And he also got the position wrong. Now in the back, it says, after being sold by Boston in a late season, Johnny played only 7 games for the Browns last year. So they do acknowledge that he played on the Browns. A sure-handed fielder, he led American League shortstops in assists and double plays. In 1950, he boasted the top fielding average. In 1952, 1954 will be the 8th Major League campaign for Johnny. And then it does tell that he went on to the Red Sox in February 1954. So they acknowledge the back that he is now a White Sox, but they don't acknowledge the front, which technically that's also wrong too, because after they probably did all this artwork and got all the front and back to the card, he never played a game for the White Sox. He was traded just before the season started to the Cincinnati Reds. No baseball card of him on the Reds because he only played 1 game in 1954, and that was the end of his Major League season. So, a very unique card. I thought it was. as a painted on hat of my Boston Red Sox. So you think you're getting a Boston Red Sox card, but he's actually depicted as being an Oriole. And on the bottom, you got another painted on hat of a not the true logo of their hat, the Orioles. Says he was traded to the White Sox. On the back, nothing on the front. In all actuality, in 1954, he was a Cincinnati Redleg. So that's the story of a common player who has a very unique card in the Topps 1954 set. Johnny Lipon. Hey, everybody. I hope you have a fantastic Friday and a very nice, wonderful weekend. Goodbye.